to give shout outs to gamers and things like that, but seeing how everybody was, just seeing the fake cheering and everything, especially like with the dragon expansion they were doing for Elder Scrolls Online and everything, the fake cheers and everything, like in every video. Kroby Cat even put that in there at multiple times. It's like, oh, I can't even scream and whatnot.
Remember how much people lost their shit at the Final Fantasy VII remake? And that was for a remake of a game that came out 20 years ago. That was one of the last big E3 moments.
And you know, Final Fantasy VII is an overrated game anyway. You know, here comes that bring it haters. You know, I don't give a shit. But I mean, I don't like Final Fantasy VII. I mean, I find the plot is decent, but I don't even really like the game. All it really was just basically an update of turn-based graphics and everything. Now, the real time that they're putting in the remake, I mean, for new gamers and everything like that, they've done it in Final Fantasy 15. If they're going to be doing it in a different way or whatnot, I'm looking forward to seeing that sort of thing. But it's kind of like when I play Final Fantasy X, for example. I don't like Final Fantasy X. I find it to be a terrible game, but that sphere grid is so sweet because it's basically a Final Fantasy that allows you to customize multiple paths for your characters to eventual domination, to where all of them can pretty much do everything. And I think that's really, really cool, because at first you could be like, okay, I'm going to be a fighter. All right, now I'm taking the white mage route, so it's like I've become a paladin. Or with like Auron, it's like, oh look, I've become a mage knight. And even the same thing with Lulu, I've become a mage knight. I've already built up all of her black magic. Now I'm going to boost her strength and everything, so now she's going to be able to use her little dolls, and then boom, baby.
And then you get the volleyball of doom, and nothing else matters.
The volleyball of doom, I like that. That was such an odd idea for a weapon.
I know.
Yeah.
Plus, you get that late game one, you don't even have to use anyone else. It's like, Waka, more Waka. Get in there, Ed Grimley. Fuck their shit.
It's kind of like when they did Final Fantasy IV in the Super, and they called the kitchen dagger the spoon dagger, and I'm just kind of like sitting there like, that's interesting. I mean, I can get why they called things white and dark, because they didn't want to use death and holy, because kids played the Super Nintendo. Yeah. Now they finally come out like on the DS when they redid Final Fantasy IV, which was a pretty good remake and everything. The Final Fantasy IV Advance was awesome because they delved deeper on the characters. You could actually bring beyond. That's my favorite. Final Fantasy is 4. They actually allowed you to use prior characters that you've had to visit the moon, which I thought was really, really awesome, instead of the original ending 5, which is still okay. I loved Final Fantasy 4 because they would force you to take on different combinations of characters to basically adapt to different playstyles, and I loved it also because each character had their own agenda. So some would stay, some would leave, there would be some plot twists or things like that. I loved that. I thought that was phenomenal, and that was the best way to put in party members. Now, the whole save over system, because they usually just kind of stick to 3 characters now at a time rather than 4 or 5, which I kind of miss, the save overs that they have where you can swap characters and everything, like Chrono Trigger, I like it. You know, I really don't mind it at all. But when they started doing that in Final Fantasy VII, I mean, it was good to have the inclusiveness of the entire cast, but at the same, and I mean, 6 kind of did that too in multiple senses. I think 6 did it the best way, to kind of half and half it, and then 4 kind of got the right idea where you'd go through the main plot with all the characters, and then at the end you could lump some of them together, get new ultimate weapons, go through trials with them, and then discover new plot points and everything like that to build on the characters. So I thought that was fantastic too. But 7 and 7 and 8, it just kind of took away from that kind of character development and everything like that. It just made things so complicated. I think they just mostly did it for replay value, basically, to try different combos, and that's fine. Gameplay wise, that's fine. Plot wise, though, I just kind of sit there. But in the plot, they fit all the characters coming in out of nowhere, and it's just like, come on, you know.
Plus, if you didn't junction all of the summons, you were screwed for the final battle. The story jumps the shark at the midway point.
If you let Ultimecia kill off who you don't want up front, you're fine. I mean, basically, I just let her do that, and then I just get my main guys out and everything like that, because I just sit there. It's like, I'm not going to spread my junctions out, but if you don't do it wisely, you're right. I just let people who I'm not going to be used. Like, usually I would roll with Squall, Renoa, and Irving, because his AP ammo is just off the hook, basically.
Plus, Triple Triad was a fun idea, implemented kind of horribly.
They perfected it a lot better in 9, and I was going to get to 9. 9 started, I mean, like, I love medieval Final Fantasies a lot better, so we're going off on a major tangent here, but no, it's not your fault. I'm enjoying this. I mean, we should probably do a Final Fantasy video sometime, but anyway, after that major digression there, Croby Cat really, I mean, I love one of the biggest points that I was laughing at in the entire show was the cursing. On the Cyberpunk 2077 reveal vid, they bleeped out all the swearing in it. Then you see like those Arabic guys using like fucking awesome, and then you see then you see just when you go to the Ubisoft where they're doing like the play stream and everything like that, black guy just basically shouting out like suck my dick and everything like that, and then having like Ice-T virtue signaling and everything like that, and it was just really, really hilarious just to see how he mashed up this video where he's just like, that's the racist, sexist, homophobic stuff, we don't want it there and everything like that, and then just to see that just one scene of that black gamer just be like, suck my dick, yo, and just talking all that shit and everything just made me laugh to tears on that video there.
You know what else was great that you might want to do a separate video on? The Todd Howard versus Elon Musk interview. Oh my god. Somebody did a video on that. Todd Howard is so far gone. It's all about him now.
I also loved the, are you going to be able to choose light or dark side? No. And in that new Star Wars game coming out, why not? Reasons or because? And I just sit there and it's like, okay, are you afraid? I guess Disney's afraid to make heroes go bad now. Like that's what I was hoping would happen to Rey in Episode 8, but alas, I already had like a super rant about that and everything, so I've already done that rant there. But I want to find that, I'm trying to find that part in the video with the suck my dick scene. It just made me laugh so hard, the transition that Croby Cat did in it, because it just really, really, really makes you laugh with the irony of it there. And I think I think this is let me just put the captions on here. Yeah, the bullying. Okay. Here it is. So this is, let me just get to the right part here to pause it here. Just waiting for this to end here. Okay. All right, here we go. So I'm going to mute this. All right. So this was the best part of the Croby Cat video right here. You're gonna love this. So basically, you got this emo-looking black dude, and then this was multicultural, like hat black chick. And I love what they say here, and then listen to the transition. Here we go.
In this video, chances are you've likely seen or even personally experienced harassment when playing online games. In fact, 57% of players say they've been bullied or threatened online. We need to change that.
That nigga suck my dick, nigga.
Lil Yachi.
Oh my god.
It's okay when a black person does it, though.
Oh, man.
Oh,
He just shot down Trisha Takanawa's argument.
and ammunition. Yeah, you know, that's what she did look like. Holy shit. Oh, that's so racist, Arnett. How dare you? You fucking white incel. How could you do that?
And she's just angry she doesn't have her Bowie anymore. No fishbone soup for you.
Oh my god, I was laughing so hard when I heard that. That was just pure gold on the editing right there. So anyway, Sony and Nintendo tied for Best of Show. But wait a minute, Gray Fox, Sony wasn't even on there. Exactly. Yep. They played it smart. They knew exactly what to do and didn't want to show up. They're like, oh, I'm staying out of this.
Yeah, they beat Microsoft by doing nothing. Good for you, Sony.
All right. So now we're gonna get to Anita Sarkeesian here. So, this is why we were building up with E3 here. So this is a little rant that she went on. This year's E3 was the second worst year for female representation since we started collecting this data 5 years ago. Not a great sign for the state of the industry. So I had a chance, I haven't read the comments yet, so we're going to get to that. I had a chance to look over the graphs, and one thing that stood out to me every year was basically the mass increase in 2019 of about 65% for multiple options for picking your gender. I mean, she couldn't even say anything about that. You can choose to be a guy or girl in a majority of games today, which is fantastic because some dudes like to create sexy girls like we've mentioned before. Some girls prefer to play as guys to avoid thirsty boys online. Yeah. Some girls like to play as girls and basically do, fantasy role play with their boyfriends or girlfriends or whatever, and vice versa for dudes and whatnot. And some dudes even play as girls, and some girls even play as dudes for that and everything. Like
guilty.
That. Well, yeah, exactly. But anyway, I've got some hot WoW characters. I admit that. I've got artwork of the WoW characters and stuff, but that's my limit there, basically. But, it's really, this is something that she's just clutching at straws to get the last crumbs of attention that she can get before she sinks down the hole. And, there's a lot of other juicier tweets out there that we could be covering, but this one in particular, because I didn't really talk anything E3 in any of the videos yet, I kind of briefly glanced over it with my Bloodstained intro. Basically, it's just so funny how she's so upset about the lack of the second lowest percent of female protagonists in the game, because the lowest was in 2016, but yet she can't because feminism is supposed to be about equality. She can't cheer about the equality of the fact that 2019 is the highest representation of multi-sex boy or girl characters and everything like that. In fact,
speaking of that, the biggest game this year is Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, and it has a female main character, spiritual successor to Castlevania.
Which, from what I played and everything, I can literally say, I haven't even beaten it, but I can say hands down, it's really the game that we were waiting for. It's not bug free and it doesn't lack its issues, but yeah, it's been a phenomenal play so far. I've been having a lot of fun, and definitely check out my Bloodstained blind playthrough folder for that. So let's see what the gamers are saying. Let's see what the comments are. So here's Anita, 2 more posts. We started collecting this data 5 years ago when everyone declared E3 2015 the year of women, which pretty much was the year that everything started to fall apart in entertainment.
Yep.
That year, only 9% of games announced had a woman as protagonist. This year, 2019, it was only 5% of games, so people are getting smarter. But anyway, we've seen a significant jump in games with multiple character options, and that's great. That's all she can say, but the great is with a but. It should be in tandem with games that are starring solo female characters, not in place of. It's important we have opportunities to play through stories about women and their lives. Why? But if you do that in today's narrative, when you did it back in the 80s and 90s, it was awesome to see because the female characters focused on getting the job done. Samus Aran, Ripley, Bayonetta, Lara Croft, Chun-Li, to name a few there. They had character to them. Chun-Li, I felt bad for her. Her father was killed by Bison. I felt terrible for her. She was out for revenge. And she got thrown into it and wanted nothing but revenge against Bison, for crying out loud. She was the groundbreaker for female fighting games. Then, Sonya Blade comes into the mix, wants revenge against Kano, knows a good fighting style. I mean, everybody focused on plots without having to focus on their genders or
Katana
their sexual orientation or their sexual identity. What were you saying?
Katana's a good example too, because originally she wanted to liberate Edenia from the Outworld, but then she started to fall in love with Liu Kang, and that became a consistent plot line. There was her friendship with Jade, her finding out about Melina, the lies from Shao Kahn and Shang Tsung. That's a greatly written female character.
Definitely. Samus, it's just great how the Metroid has followed her through her whole life, not only in her missions to eradicate them, but also the fact that it saved her life too when she was infected with the X parasite in Metroid Fusion. I was about to say Metroid 4, but same difference there. But it's just great that they basically focus on her getting the job done and everything like that without having to throw in, I've got all these male oppressors around me and everything, and it's a whole entity. The Federation using her and then lying to her. I mean, that makes for great plot. But then, you see things like Captain Marvel is just smile. I'm going to hurt him and steal his bike and everything like that. Yeah, that's such true empowerment. Being a thief and hurting somebody for just simply saying something. So fucking woke. So I had to send a reply to her. I basically used my Crab People account and I said, just what the Crab People expect from a chick who has never been played, or let me use that voice. I'm using my Merrick Ishtar voice. Let me use the other ones. Just what the Crab People would expect from a chick who has never even played video games. You will be the first we send to our plankton mines when we surface. So I know it didn't sound too different, just a little different to pitch there and tone. So this David Fowles says, to be fair, it's also the worst year of E3 in general. It's the second last year of a generation, and they don't care about stuff. Sorry, Sony didn't even turn up. So I had to reply, that's because Sony was smart. But and it's true too. They were really smart. But yeah, a lot of these. It's good to see that these reboots are coming out. Like Zelda Link's Awakening is being redone for the Switch. It's going to be super colorful, new art style, but still the overhead view. Still that $60 price tag for something, like I was saying in my last pre-game video, a $60 price tag for a Game Boy game I bought for $30 doesn't really seem fit, especially for